Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, second week in February. I'm just going to wait for you guys to start tuning in. Say hi in the comment. Let me know if it's your first time so I can give you a shout out. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Florida. My name is Aisha Chidolwe. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients all over the United States. Even though our physical offices are in Florida and Atlanta, we represent clients all over the United States with their family immigration matters. So you can call me 407-995-6567, or you can schedule a consultation via WhatsApp 404-333-8751. So today I'm just going to jump right into it. If you have any questions, if I have any time, I will try to answer your questions. Hi from North Carolina. This is your first time, Ella Ketch, and Lakeisha from Nevada. Good morning. What exactly is VAWA? I actually got like 2 messages today asking, well, what is VAWA? I just want to talk about that today just to give some understanding as what it is. So the actual term VAWA is essentially a law or an act. It's called Violence Against Women's Act. So basically, this is an act that was enacted by actually President Biden when he was a senator, not when he was a president. That allows women who have been victims of, not women, allows immigrants who have been victims of abuse to be able to get a green card on their own due to that abuse. So even though the name says women in it, this law applies to both women, men, children, parents. So if you're a spouse, you're eligible if your spouse is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, whether you're in a same-sex marriage, whether you're a guy in the marriage, whether you're a woman in the marriage. If you're a child, you're eligible if your parents are either your parents or your step-parents are either U.S. citizens or green card holders. You need to submit the petition before you turn 21. If you submit it after you turn 21, you must submit it between 21 and 25. And you have to have a really good explanation. And the abuse has to be the reason why you submitted it late. The one caveat that you need to note if you're a child and basically you're alleging that your maybe step parent was abusive, you want to make sure that you show that your step parent, you married your biological parent married your step parent before you turned 18. So that's that for that. And then as far as parents are eligible to self-petition and get a green card by themselves if their child is a U.S. citizen. So if your child is a green card, you're not eligible. Your child has to be a U.S. citizen, and that person has to be 21 or over. Okay. So unlike a lot of other areas of immigration, with a VAWA petition, if you qualify for VAWA, it doesn't matter how you entered into the United States. Even if you crossed the border, even if you came with a visa, even if you overstayed your visa, typical marriage case, you can't adjust your status in the United States if you cross the border, right? You have to basically request a waiver of hardship, get approved, and go back to home country to finish. But with VAWA, how you entered, it doesn't matter. You're still able to get your green card. You're still able to get your work permit. You're still able to get your travel permit while you're in the United States. Okay. Some of the other benefits of a VAWA self-petition, if you qualify, is that you want to make sure you will be eligible for a 10-year green card when you get approved. So you're not going to get, regardless of how long you're married to your spouse, when you submit your VAWA petition, you will get a 10-year green card, and then you'll be eligible for citizenship 3 years later. Let's see. So that is what VAWA is for those of you who asked. So if you're in a relationship that's extremely cruel, extremely abusive, you could qualify. Again, abuse varies in so many ways, and I talk about this all the time. Abuse doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It could be psychological. It could be emotional. It could be, financial. It could be sexual. There's just so many ways that people are abused, and so it's one of those things that never think you're not qualified until you find out if you're qualified. I mean, there are some other requirements that's needed. Showing a good faith marriage, showing cohabitation when you're doing a spousal, VAWA case that we can get into, but those are just some things to note. Okay, so I have about 15 minutes. Let me answer some questions. Blue Trillion says, good morning from Georgia. God bless you and your team for what you're all doing in the immigrant community. Thank you so much, and same to you. Hi, Miss Classy. Hi, Onya from California. Guys on Facebook, I'm coming to you. I'm looking on Instagram real quick. What kind of questions they ask during the VAWA interview? So for VAWA itself, you're not actually interviewed. A decision is made without an interview. They will either approve you or deny you based on the strength of or the credibility of what you submit. And then once you get your VAWA approved, they then schedule you for an adjustment of status interview. So your adjustment of status interview is like any normal interview where they're making sure that you're not inadmissible into the United States. Your USCIS officer is actually not supposed to be asking you about your marriage or abuse during your VAWA interview, because those have already been approved, because you can't be sent to an interview unless your VAWA has been approved. Kunle says, I sent someone to call your office and your office never get back to you from New Jersey. Yeah, so email us the person's information and we will try and call the person back. And it's possible that we get hundreds of calls, daily. So sometimes it's hard to keep up with everybody. But if the person actually called, I'm sure that we call them back. Maybe they didn't have their voicemail set up, because we get that a lot where people don't have their voicemail set up. But you can always email me the person's information or send a WhatsApp so that we can call the person back. Hi, Brandon from New Jersey. Hi, Minaj. Good morning. Hi, Novelette. Good morning. Hi, Sandra. My favorite look. You look lovely today and well rested. Thank you. Yes, I actually rested this weekend. As I've told you guys, I've been traveling a whole lot since the month of January, and this was only like my only weekend, I think, and last weekend that I was on ground, and traveling is going to get back, from next weekend. So, but thank you. Okay, let's see what else. Good morning, Rashidat from Houston. Odik says, can I play a video from my phone as evidence at my interview? Honestly, I don't really know. It's going to depend on the officer and if they're okay with seeing the video. Typically, we can't send videos when we're submitting, but if at your interview, I'm not really sure what you're using it as evidence for, like what kind of interview you're having, but you can certainly try. You can certainly say, well, I don't have anything, because the idea of what USCIS wants is that they want to be able to have evidence to put on record, and they can't put a video on record. So I doubt it, but you can certainly ask, because I've had where a client forgot to bring like their taxes, and even though we actually showed it to the officer on the client's phone, the officer still wanted them to do an RFE and send the taxes, just because it can't go on record. So I suspect it would be the same with videos. Cube Mom says, can one with a green card file for her kids after getting approved for VAWA? Yeah, so you can file for your kids. Well, the answer is going to depend on excuse me, if your kids are married or unmarried. If your kids are over the age of 21, hold on, guys, let me just drink some water. Okay, so if your kids are over 21 and you file for them, they can be married, but it's going to take some time. Right, it's going to take some time for them to be able to come to the United States, because you're looking at a 5 to 6 year wait time. If your children are under 21, visas are immediately available. But also, if you submitted a VAWA case and your kids were under 21 when you submitted a VAWA case, when you're approved for VAWA, your children should have been approved for VAWA. So all you will be doing is consular processing, after we have them transfer their files to the National Visa Center. So the answer will really depend on exactly, what stage your kids are in, if your kids were listed, and all of that good stuff. Okay. Ms. Cranberry says, oh my God, love the red lipstick with your outfit. Thank you. Okay, so Gypsy says, Does not calling the police during the time of your abuse affect your chances of acceptance? So, a police report is not a requirement for a VAWA or abuse case. So, that's the first thing. Now, if you do call the police, it is certainly helpful to your case. It is certainly helpful. So if you're able to contact the cops, and you're able to get a police report, it is certainly helpful, but it's not a requirement. When they are making a decision, they're looking at any credible evidence, and evidence can be credible in many ways, because you have to put into context that a lot of victims of VAWA are undocumented immigrants, or immigrants who have overstayed their time. And there's a lot of fear, not only from their spouse, but also what will happen to them. Will they get deported because they don't have the papers? If they call the cops and they're like, well, where's your documents to be here? So a lot of times you might not find that. I will tell you that, and I say this all the time, when you're a conditional green card holder and you're submitting for removal of conditions and you're requesting a waiver because your spouse has been extremely cruel, the expectation of what you should be documenting is much higher than, say, if you're a VAWA applicant who doesn't have a green card, because at that time they feel like, you have a green card and you should have more stuff, or you shouldn't be as scared or as nervous to report. But again, this is up to you to help the officer to see your point of view. Like sometimes, and I'm going to talk about race for a second, and something that we see a lot, like sometimes, a lot of people might choose not to, I've heard this a lot from, let's say, female victims, right? Where they're like, yes, my husband was abusive towards me, but because I know he's a Black man, right? I'm terrified of calling the cops and something would happen to him, or he could get killed, or his penalty could be worse, because believe it or not, even though people are abused, some of these people, these are people that they love, right? So the person is treating them badly, but they still love them. They don't want them to die. They don't want something bad to happen to them. So some people have that fear, where they feel that they're not going to, or sometimes, people say, well, they're not going to believe me because, I'm a Black immigrant, and I'm just saying to you guys what we hear from people, and so when we hear that, that is their own thought process of why they don't call the cops. And we want to be able to explain that to you as this is their thought process. Whether the thought process is correct or not correct, these are some reasons why people don't call, because of that fear. So they definitely consider everything in totality. Chrissy from Mount Vernon, New York City says, blessings to you. Thanks for the information. Informative. You're welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so let's see what else. All right, guys. I have about 5 more minutes. Lakeisha says, I'm not sure how to show cohabitation. You guys can hear me on YouTube. Can you guys hear me on YouTube? Somebody said they can't hear me. If you're on YouTube, can you let me know if you can hear me or not? But somebody said, how do you show cohabitation? So if you don't have a lease, but you have proof that you lived together, one of the things that you can do is you can, if like mails were coming to your house, you want to get pictures, right, of those envelopes, of those things that were being addressed there. If like a landlord or a neighbor knows that you live there and is willing to write an affidavit saying that you live there, they can certainly write an affidavit of that. If you have evidence in your maybe text messages that show things like, like when I'm looking for text message cohabitation requirements, some of the things I'm looking for is like, oh, I'm going to be home in an hour. Do you want to start dinner? Or like, can you help me pick up fish from the grocery store, or whatever it is? But basically things that indicate a relationship that is in the same household. So, it requires a lot of digging, to find the evidence. But that's where, we in our legal capacity or in our legal experience can say, okay, these are some things that I've had success with. Let us dig in and see if you have this, this, or that. So, it will take too long with the time I have to start going over different examples, but you can certainly show it. Okay, someone says, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, Ebo, on YouTube, you might have to turn up your volume. Something might be wrong with your volume. Then, Sonia says, I have a 10-year green card. I've been physically present for 3 years. What is the difference between physically present and continue? Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm like coughing today. I hope there's nothing wrong with me. And continuous residency. So physically present basically means that you've been physically here the entire time. Continuous residency means that, you know, you've gone out and you come back, you've gone out, you've come back. So it allows you to basically, I'm assuming you're asking this question for the purposes of probably your naturalization. So continuous presence means that I could have traveled for like 2 months, but I'm still a continuous resident of the United States, even though I traveled for 2 months, right? So basically anything under 6 months is what you're looking at for continuous residency. Now, if you start traveling outside of the country for more than 6 months, then there's a chance that you've broken the continuity in your residency and it could prolong when you'll be eligible for naturalization. Physical presence is exactly that. So just depends on what you need it for. Okay, let me see. I think I have time for one more question. Good morning, Harrington. How are you? Hi, Goddess Queen. Okay. What if I already submitted? Let me put this question up here. What if I already submitted my I-485 with my spouse and I want to file for VAWA? Do I need to file for an I-485 again? So the answer is going to really depend on what stage you are in. If you already have an I-485, USCIS has a rule that allows you to do what we call an abeyance, where they put your I-485 in abeyance, which is basically put it on hold and then merge it with your VAWA petition so that you don't have to pay a new filing fee. But you would have to do this before a decision is made on your case. So you would have to act quickly if you've been scheduled for an interview, because you don't know when a decision will be made. Or if you attend your interview without your spouse and then decide you want to file VAWA, the odds are that before a VAWA case is submitted, they've already denied you, because the virtue of you attending without an abeyance request means that they will deny you. So, you know, you have to go with that abeyance at the time of the interview. Okay, guys, I got to jump off. I hope you guys have a productive week. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow, anytime between 9:30 to 10 a.m. You can subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button so you know when I come on live. And if I didn't get to your question, please call and schedule a consultation so that I can chit chat with you, 407-995-6567, or you can send a WhatsApp, 404-333-8751. All right, guys, have a good day.